My sister's wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of our family's year. Instead, it was the day I finally understood exactly where I stood. Let me back up. My name is Claire. I'm 32 years old, and for most of my adult life, I have been the person my family called when they needed something. Not when they wanted to celebrate, not when they had good news to share when they needed something. Money, mostly. Sometimes my signature, sometimes just my silence. I have a younger sister named Brooke. She's 28, and she has always been the favorite. I knew it before I could name it. When we were kids, Brooke got the bigger bedroom because she needed the space for her art. I got the room next to the laundry. When Brooke crashed her first car at 19, my parents paid for the new one without a single argument. When I needed a loan for my last semester of college, $400, my mother told me I was old enough to figure it out myself. I figured it out. I always figured it out. That became the problem. By the time I was 26, I had a stable job in healthcare administration, a modest savings account, and a credit score I had built carefully and quietly over years of paying every bill on time. My family knew about the savings account. My mother mentioned it at every dinner, like it was a shared resource. "Claire's doing so well," she would say, with this smile that never quite reached her eyes. "Claire has a good head on her shoulders." What she meant was, "Claire can cover this." And for a long time, I did. When my father's truck needed repairs, I lent him $1,800. He paid back $600 over the following year, and then stopped mentioning it. When my mother wanted to redo the kitchen, she asked me to co-sign a small credit line at the hardware store. "Just so they'll give us the discount account," she said. "I'll handle all the payments. You won't even know it exists." I signed it. Of course I signed it. I trusted her. When Brooke got engaged to her boyfriend after 2 years of dating, the family exploded with excitement. There were dinners and toasts, and my mother cried happy tears I had never seen her produce for anything in my life. Brooke picked a venue, a caterer, a florist. The budget grew fast. About 8 months before the wedding, my mother pulled me aside after Sunday dinner and explained the situation. The wedding was going to cost more than Brooke and her fiancé had saved. My mother and father were contributing what they could. But there was a gap. A significant one. "We were hoping," my mother said, choosing her words carefully, "that you might be able to help bridge it." I asked how much. She said $8,000. I want to be very clear about what I felt in that moment. It wasn't shock. It wasn't even really anger. It was something quieter and more familiar than both of those things. It was recognition. Like seeing a pattern you've always known was there but hoped you were imagining. I asked my mother what my contribution would look like. Would it be a gift? A loan? Would Brooke and I discuss it directly? My mother said it would be a gift, because Brooke was under enough stress with the planning, and there was no reason to add financial awkwardness to it. She said the family would always know what I did for Brooke. She said these things were remembered. I wrote the check. Brooke never thanked me. Not once. Not a text, not a call, not even a mention at the next family dinner. I waited 2 weeks before I let myself admit that. I wasn't mentioned at any of the engagement parties. I wasn't asked to be a bridesmaid. Brooke had 6 of them, her best friends, her college roommates, a girl she'd known since 2nd grade. I found out about the bridesmaid announcement through a photo my mother posted on Facebook. I told myself it was fine. Brooke and I had never been particularly close. I had been the responsible one, the quiet one, the one who had moved out early and stopped needing things. Maybe we had drifted. Maybe this was just what adult siblings looked like sometimes. I kept going to Sunday dinners. I kept being pleasant. I bought a dress for the wedding, a nice one, pale blue, and I made a hotel reservation because the venue was 2 hours away, and I didn't want to drive back late. 3 months before the wedding, Brooke sent out the wedding party details. I received a guest invitation. Just a guest. That was fine. I had expected that. What I did not expect was what happened at the final family dinner before the wedding weekend. My mother had organized a dinner at her house the Thursday before the Saturday ceremony. It was supposed to be close family, only my parents, my aunt and uncle from my mother's side, Brooke and her fiancé, and me. Maybe 12 people altogether. My mother had put together little gift bags for everyone. Lavender sachets, personalized keychains, a small framed photo from Brooke and her fiancé. I noticed them stacked on the side table when I walked in, counted them without meaning to. I am someone who notices small things. It has always been my particular curse. There were 11 bags. We sat down to dinner. My father said grace. The wine was poured. Everything was warm and loud and happy in the way family dinners only ever are when someone is the center of attention and that someone is not you. After dessert, my mother started handing out the gift bags. She went around the table, calling each person by name, saying something sweet about them as she handed theirs over. She gave one to my aunt, one to my uncle, one to their teenage son, who hadn't even been on my original mental guest list. She gave one to Brooke's fiancé's parents, who I had only met twice. She sat back down. I did not have a bag. For a moment I thought I had miscounted. I looked at the side table. Empty. I looked at the people around the table, everyone opening their little packages, exclaiming over the keychains, the photos, the lavender. My mother was watching Brooke with that full, shining look she gets when she is proud. She did not look at me. I picked up my wine glass. I took a slow sip. I set it back down exactly where it had been. I looked at the tablecloth for a moment, at the pattern of the weave, at a small candle wax strip near the centerpiece. My aunt noticed. She looked at me, then at the table, then at my mother. She didn't say anything. She looked away. No one said anything. I stayed through the rest of the dinner because leaving would have made it a scene, and I have spent my entire life not making scenes. I helped clear the plates. I said goodbye to everyone with a normal face and a normal voice. I hugged my mother at the door. She hugged me back the way she always does, that automatic one-armed press that has never once felt like it meant anything. I drove to my hotel. I sat on the edge of the bed in my coat for about 20 minutes. Then I picked up my phone and started canceling things. I texted Brooke's fiancé because I did not yet have grounds to be angry with him, and he was the one who had sent me the formal wedding details, and told him I was so sorry, I was not feeling well, I would not be able to make it to the ceremony. I kept it brief. I kept it kind. Then I called my bank. This is where I need to tell you the other part. The part I had been trying not to think about too clearly for several months. About a year before all of this, my mother had called me with what she described as a small, time-sensitive favor. She had been trying to get a personal loan to help cover some medical bills for my father's back procedure. Her credit, she explained, had taken a hit the previous year. Just a temporary thing. The loan officer had suggested that having a co-applicant with strong credit could help them get a better rate. She had asked me to co-sign. I had said yes. Because she was my mother, and she was asking me, and I had always said yes. I signed the paperwork electronically, on a form she had emailed me, on a Tuesday evening when I was tired from work and I trusted her. I did not read every line. I am ashamed to admit that. I skimmed it. I saw my name. I saw my mother's name. I saw an amount that she had told me was $8,000, and I signed. The amount on the paperwork was not $8,000. It was $34,000. I did not know this until I called my bank that Thursday night, sitting on the edge of a hotel bed, and asked them to pull up any accounts or credit inquiries associated with my information over the past 18 months. I had been meaning to do a full credit review for a while. I had been putting it off the way you put off things you're afraid might confirm something you don't want to know. The loan was there. My name was on it as a co-borrower. The amount was $34,000. The payments were current, which meant my mother had been paying it, which was something. But my name was attached to $34,000 of debt without my informed consent, and that number would affect my credit profile for years. I sat with that information for a long time. I thought about the $800 my father still owed me. I thought about the hardware store credit line I had co-signed that my mother swore she would handle herself. I thought about the $8,000 check I had written for a wedding that had not included me in its gift bags. I thought about my sister, who at this exact moment was probably asleep in our parents' house, surrounded by people who loved her loudly and without condition, preparing to walk down an aisle I would not be standing anywhere near. And I thought, I am done. Not dramatically. Not with tears or a phone call or a long, satisfying speech. I just made a quiet decision in a quiet hotel room and felt something very heavy and very old settle and go still inside me. I did not go to the wedding. I drove home the next morning, before Brooke had even texted to ask where I was. I spent the weekend doing ordinary things. I went grocery shopping. I cleaned my bathroom. I looked up the name of a consumer protection attorney and sent an email inquiry that I had been mentally composing for most of the drive home. I did not respond to the texts that started coming in. The first one from my mother was at 11:15 Saturday morning, about an hour before the ceremony. It said, "Claire, where are you? Brooke is asking." The second said, "This is really selfish. You know how much this day means." Then my father, "Your mother is very upset. Whatever is going on, today is not the day." Then my aunt, the one who had noticed at dinner and said nothing, "Honey, I know sometimes family is complicated, but Brooke only gets one wedding day." Then Brooke herself, which surprised me, because she had barely texted me directly in the past 6 months. "I can't believe you're doing this on my wedding day. I will never forgive you." I looked at that last one for a while. Then I put my phone face down on the kitchen counter and made myself a cup of tea. I met with the attorney the following Tuesday. She was brisk and clear and excellent. She explained that because the loan was current and my mother had been making payments, I was not immediately at legal risk, but that my name on the document, without my full informed consent to the actual loan amount, was a serious matter, and that I had options. We talked through those options for an hour. I did not call my mother. I did not respond to the texts. I blocked Brooke's number, then my mother's, then after a few days my father's as well. I kept my aunt unblocked, because she had at least tried, in her small and imperfect way, to look at me across that dinner table. I changed the address on my mail. I had my attorney send a letter. For 3 weeks, nothing. Then one Saturday morning, 22 days after the wedding, I heard a car in my driveway. I looked out the front window, my parents' car, and behind it, an Uber, which meant Brooke had come too. I watched them get out. My mother was wearing her good coat. My father had his hands in his pockets, which is what he does when he is uncomfortable. Brooke was still in her honeymoon tan, which made her look somehow younger and older at the same time. Her husband was not with her, which I noted. They walked to my front door. My mother knocked. Then rang the doorbell. Then knocked again. I stood in my hallway, and I did not move. "Claire." My mother's voice through the door. Even and careful, which meant she was working to keep it that way. "Claire, we know you're home. Your car is in the driveway. We just want to talk." I didn't answer. My father, "Claire, come on. This has gone on long enough." Gone on long enough. I thought about the hardware store credit line. I thought about the $34,000 loan. I thought about an 11-year-old at a dinner table looking at everyone else's gift bags. I went back to the kitchen. I made myself breakfast. I could hear them on the porch. My mother's voice shifted, less careful now, something cracking at the edges. "Claire, the bank account. We need to talk about the account. There's something happening, and your name is just, please open the door." There it was. I had wondered which version of this they would lead with. The missing me. The family healing, the Brooks feelings, but they led with the account, which told me everything I still needed to confirm. This was not about missing me. This was about needing me. Again, still. I walked to the front door. I stood with my hand on the knob for a moment. I thought about the woman who had signed an electronic form on a tired Tuesday evening because she trusted the person who sent it. I did not open the door. Instead, I spoke through it, clearly enough that they would hear. "I've retained an attorney. Please direct anything regarding the loan to her office. You have her contact information." Silence. Then my mother, "Claire, please don't do this. We're your family." "I know," I said. "I know you are." I stepped away from the door. I heard them on the porch for another few minutes. Brooke's voice once, low and frustrated, something I couldn't make out. Then the sound of footsteps going back down the path. 2 car doors. An engine. Quiet. I stood in my kitchen for a long time after that. Here is what I want to say to anyone who recognizes something in this story. Not the specific details, because everyone's specific details are different, but the feeling. The one that lives in the back of your chest, when you are the person who always figures it out, always covers it, always absorbs the cost, so that no one else has to feel it. I spent a long time believing that being needed was the same as being loved. I was wrong about that. Being needed means someone has determined you are useful. Being loved means someone has decided you matter. Those are not the same thing, and the difference between them can cost you a lot of money and a lot of years if you're not paying attention. I am 32 years old. My credit is being sorted out. My attorney is thorough and unsentimental and very good at her job. I have a blue dress in my closet that I wore to my friend's birthday dinner last month, and someone told me I looked lovely in it, and I did not immediately think about what I owed anyone. I think about Brooke sometimes. I hope her marriage is good. I genuinely do. I hope she looks back one day, from whatever distance gives her the clarity she doesn't have right now, and understands what she had and what it cost. I haven't heard from my mother in 6 weeks. My aunt sends me a text every once in a while, nothing heavy, just small things. A photo of her dog, a recipe. Last week, she sent me a voice message that was 40 seconds long and said, among other things, that she was sorry she didn't say something at dinner. That she had seen it, and she should have said something. I listened to it 3 times. Then I wrote back and told her thank you. That it meant something. That I was okay. And here is the part I did not fully expect. I am actually okay. There is a specific kind of quiet that comes after you stop carrying something that was never yours to carry in the first place, and it is nothing like loneliness. It does not echo. It just sits there, solid and clean, and you realize you have no memory of the last time things felt this still. That is what I have now. That is what I chose when I stood at my front door and did not open it. I chose still.